Hey guys, welcome back to the Truth and Tales podcast with your favorite host Victoria and
Yummy.
yes. So today we have another interesting episode. Thank you guys for watching the last long episode. And thank you for your beautiful comments, your
Yeah.
likes. We're super grateful to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we have a very interesting truth to discuss. And I always like truth because we get to expose ourselves.
Yeah.
The last time we were doing therapy.
I was about to say that it's always more like a therapy session when it's our own truth. Right.
Okay, so Yemi, up to you. What are we talking about today?
Right. So today, as we've said, we are discussing a truth, like our personal experience on this particular topic. What happens when you experience parental hurt? How do you deal with parental hurt? And what it entails, what it's about, what it means, especially when your parents let you down in a way. As parents have expectations of their children, children have kind of like expectations of their parents.
Naturally.
So, and the interesting thing about the dynamics of parents, I don't want to go into the topic itself, but that's what the topic is about. What we are discussing is like parental hurt, what happens, how you feel, how to get over it when your parent lets you down. I was reading something along the lines of this person's parent not supporting, in terms of like your parent having what's it called, like money or something, financial capacity, and this is even a guy is going through hardship in his life. He wants to be able to like set himself up, and the parents was not like willing.
I
Willing
remember reading
to
something like that.
willing to support, and he knows that they have it, and he had this expectation that they will be able to like support, but he didn't, and he went through. But with other people outside, the parents would always like show up, and this person is a guy, and I was not kind of like internalizing it with myself and looking through and to see like in those areas where I had this expectation of my parents, my dad in my own case, to do something specific, and he didn't, and I felt terribly hurt, and that changed the dynamics of our relationship. Right? So sometimes you have this kind of expectation from your parents, either in terms, mostly for support in your life, especially when you're going through a particular phase of life, maybe financially, maybe in terms of like emotional support, or to be able to call upon, like for me in my own situation now, like I expected that my parents would my parents would show up in a certain way that will be able to cushion the effect of other people
In your life.
in your life. The way mothers would like defend their children, they'll come up, like even when you see some mothers, you'll not be able to do certain things to their child. I remember like when I was on the day of my introduction, it was my grandmom. My mom is late. My grandmom going to meet my in-laws and giving them serious warning, like don't try this. I was really very impressed by that, but I don't see, it's not something my dad will do.
Yeah.
Right? But that kind of support for a woman, maybe emotionally, what kind of support, what kind of area, like even with prayers, right? You expect that maybe when you're going through a challenge, you call your mom and your mom will pray with you, those kind of things. Personally, because I didn't have like my mom, so for me it fell on my dad, and because I've also always been the one that was showing up in my life for the most part of it. He's the one that is visiting days. Is my dad. I would see. So because I've always been showing up, he's the one that I have that expectation of. So but in this and it wasn't even directly at me in this case, but it just gave me that reason to think that when it happened to somebody else in the family, can he show up for me even when I need him to show up in marriage, in life, in career? Can he really show up for me in that capacity? And I felt that doubt for that moment, because there's always been somebody that if there's nothing you will tell me, my dad will show up for me. That's what like nobody can tell me otherwise. But when I saw him not show up for that person in the family in that capacity, I really felt let down, even though it was not directly at me, but it made me, and it kind of affected me a little bit, because we had like, it was a big argument in the family, like all the siblings, they like, it was serious. But then it just changed the dynamics of our relationship from that of trust, that of dependency, to know that you'll be there for me, to I was really hurt to be, and we both knew that the dynamics have changed for us. So we now started to work towards reconciliation and rebuilding and all that. And I just felt like something that maybe quite a few people have experienced, or something we should talk about. And especially the fact that, when someone hurts you, your friend, your boyfriend, you both are on the same level in terms of respect.
Yeah.
But with your parents or somebody that is elderly, it's more like there's always that respect with parents that you can, even the Bible says to honor your parents. So you cannot necessarily, it's rude for you to just call your father names or your mother names. You can't even, or to just the way it's doing you to say
express
it,
yourself,
to express it's hard to express yourself. So because you cannot express yourself in that capacity, you hold on to it, and it makes it hard. And some people have not actually gone through that healing. For me, like, I know how difficult it is for me to, like, keep internalizing. And there are some things I would just want to say and be like, but I know that I can't still say it. And sometimes when I ruminate over it and maybe talk to my siblings, they'll be like, my younger brother will be like, we should, call him and do that. I'm like, please, I'm not ready. Normally, I don't even like confrontation. But, in that capacity where it's not, you're not on the same level.
Power dynamics.
Yeah, there's a power dynamics involved as well, that you cannot just go there and just start shouting at him or start pointing at you. And it's not as if they're going to follow you to therapy session. So there's always that level of thing with your parents, and especially when you have been let down, you've been hurt by them. Like, I just find it really interesting to know, like, how do people deal with it? Like, how can you deal with such, So yeah, that's like
have you guys ever experienced
conversation.
parental hurts, like, in any capacity? And let's know how you dealt with it. And I think it's quite interesting because the video I uploaded today on the Unashamed with Victoria Fash, my second channel. A
lot of people don't know you have that channel, because me, I didn't know until
I should be saying it a lot. That's just my outlet channel. It's not a channel like it's not like a channel that I'm making money or whatever. It's just a channel that I talk about what I really love, my faith.
It doesn't matter. It's Unashamed with Victoria. I've been watching more of Unashamed now.
Really?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I don't know, maybe because I didn't know you had it. Then when I just found this, I'm like, even me, I didn't know that she had that channel. So you can imagine, people don't know. But anyway, there's in the description box.
It's in the description box. So I was talking about my dad and how much hurt I was carrying as a young teenager. Not know. So when you told me about this topic, I was thinking about my mom. but then I realized later that really my mom
did not hurt you.
She didn't hurt me. She was just being a mom.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad was actually the one who hurt me, but not directly. Growing up, I had, when I was young, like when I was like 5, 6, me and my dad were very close. Like when I was really like a toddler, I have faint memories of us like having suya nights, locking him out and telling him he has to give me money before he goes, acting strange drama in the bedroom and stuff. I had that kind of relationship. I have faint memories of when my mom would work two nights. She used to do duty shift because she's a fire officer. Then my dad would be the one to bathe us, clothe us, take us to school, cook for us and all those things. I had those memories when I was younger, right? And then the problem then was when I really needed him, when I became, a young adult, getting to being a teenager, that was when he left. Well, he didn't leave my mom. They never divorced or separated. It was just it was posted. It was in the Air Force. It was posted to different places, and it's just literally abandoned. No birthday calls. No. I just started to live with the consciousness that I don't have a father before he died, right? And to me, I didn't understand when parents come to pick their children from school, their dad brings them to the car. When I was in primary school, then every once in a while, he would take us to school with his car. Like, I had those nice memories of him. We had good times, But when it mattered the most, when I was trying to when I had sense, I was a teenager, I had a lot of insecurities that I needed a father. That was when he left. And then that was when I started to notice other people's fathers. Taking care of them, buying them things, picking them up from school, attending PTA, people talking about, my dad did this, my dad did that. And I couldn't say my dad did anything. So it didn't hurt me directly, but his absence, on my birthday day, having to call him and be trying to see, maybe he will remember. if it was my birthday and he wouldn't. And I'm like, guess what is today? Like, your birthday, you understand? And stuff like that. So all those little things. And I remember one particular big thing for me was, I was not a very bright child when I was in primary school. I wasn't really bright. And I think a lot of it was hunger and a lot of poverty and a lot of things I did not, because I know I'm bright. I just didn't know what happened. I grew up with so much fear and insecurity. My dad used to be our escape. When my mom was she will flog you. When my dad is around, we misbehave because we know my mom cannot touch us. That's how, much we were close. But I don't know what happened. He just stopped caring, stopped being there. And if you still ask me as at then, that who is your favorite parent, it would never be my mom. Because it would still be my dad. My dad that I'd probably see maybe once a year and speak to maybe 3 times a year, right? I would still pick him over my mom. Then, because of course, my mom was always disciplining us, beating us, doing all sorts of things, trying to train us, actually doing the parental job. But every time we would still pick our dad because we believed our mom was too hard. It's now we know different, obviously. I shared that it was in his, when he was about to die, that I realized how much animosity I had towards him, how much hurt I had towards him, because there were so many people that took advantage of me when I was a teenager. People that I trusted as father figure, that took advantage of me not having a real father around, and So, anyways, I remember I was about to die.
That's a good point.
And he asked me to pray for him. I don't know, went to visit him in the hospital that day, and he said, "Pray for me. When you pray, God hears." It was so weird because then I just gave my life to Christ, and when I pray, God actually hears. Like when you are just new in Christ, God will be wooing you, and anything you say, God will answer. But I was surprised that he knew that because he didn't know me, and I didn't know him. He was like a strange person to me at that point because we've not been together in a long time, years. Right? I've only seen you once a year, maybe twice a year in a long time, and we only talk very, very scarcely. Right? So, and I remember I did not pray for him. Every now and then I remember your dad asked you to pray for him. He wasn't asking me to pray that he's healed. He was asking me to pray basically that God would have mercy on him because he knew that he made a lot of mistakes. For us, at least we had our mom. I had step siblings that didn't have a mother and then they didn't have a father. So, I didn't pray and until he died. And then it was the day he died that I prayed for him. I didn't know he had died as at the time. It was just, anyway, I shared that story in the Unashamed and all. But, and then it would take me 5 years to cry. 5 years to remember the good times we had together. The times that, like, for all those 5 years after he died, all I could remember was he wasn't there for us. He didn't, I was going to say that the one day that I was really hurt by him was, I was saying that I wasn't bright. Oh yeah, in school, and it was in my secondary school. We're about to decide what school I will go into. I had tried common entrance because I went to Air Force primary school. So I tried common entrance to enter into Air Force secondary school, and I didn't get in because I failed. and my dad was like, well, so we have public schools, and Nigeria public schools are not. They are where you go to for a lot of reasons. They are where you go to groom, thugs and stuff.
No.
Right? They don't have good infrastructures. They don't, for a child to go to public school and succeed, that child must be very, very intentional. And I wasn't that intentional. So if you are saying to me that you are going to give me to the lion. So I remember my dad was like, he's not ready to spend any money on me, blah blah blah, because I don't know. He just said it wasn't ready. And he was like, I should choose between Ikeja High School or Oshodi Grammar School. Hey, God. And I remember I went there and, he was telling me, I said, I don't want to go to either school. That those schools are normal. My father said, so you have to choose one. It was my mom who said, none of our child will ever go to those schools. And then she said, she would send me to private school. My father literally told her, if you want to send her, you are the one to pay the bills. And she sent myself and my staff throughout to school. But you see, that day is like a capture in my head. It was like, that's just one. There's been time that I remember my results is 20 something in primary school. I don't used to come thing. Like, it's always 20 out of 32 in class. Is that I come 21, 23. Now I won't get to like 30. I won't get to like 28.
But you're not going
But
to
the
be
first early 20s, that usually was my result. And remember this day, for the first time in my life, I came 11th.
and
That was like coming first. Do you understand?
I
And
get.
I remember I was
get
so
you.
happy because every time I show my dad my result, my sister was always the bright child. So he would always like, look at your sister, can't you be like your sister? So I got 11th. I was so excited. The way I came, my dad was the first person I saw in the house, and I showed him my result. And the first thing he said was, "And you are happy about this? Is it not your mates that are taking first and second?" And that just deflated me. So there are little things like that I didn't know I was carrying as hurt until like a long 5 years after he died. I realized that a lot of dysfunction, a lot of rebellion that I had as a child was because I did not have that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
when you brought up this topic, it was like, there are a lot of hurts that we carried. It took the help of God. We'll get into how to get over it. But that was it for me. For my mom, it was more or less just being too hard.
Yeah, I think because she didn't really have a choice. To be fair, she didn't really have a choice. Yes.
Because the environment she was raising us in the barracks is either you get pregnant as a teenager, or you get raped, or you become a tout, or you war. And my mom was intentional about ensuring that none of us end up in the statistics.
Yeah.
So because of that, she had to be extra hard on us.
Yes.
Which sometimes was not the best. I can remember a few times that
And the thing is, the thing with parental health, for me, your experience is quite the opposite for me, but then I still have hurt. So I think for your mom, right, I love what she did, because when you became an adult that you actually needed it, you remembered the things that she did, and you knew how significant it is. It has been for who you are now, and it's really helped. And that's the thing with parental health, and really growing up with parents, we remember those things when we become an adult. So whatever
with my dad
good,
too.
You didn't remember it. It wasn't. So it's more like when you need them to show up for you, you recall the things they've done in the past, and it helps you forge this perspective of how you move. I feel like if your dad was still alive, it would forge how you would relate to him in the now.
Definitely.
Compared to, I think I grew up knowing my dad to be a very caring, loving father to me. Generally, people were very caring. I think I've said this a lot, that I grew up with so much what's it called, what's this English, love and affection and words of affirmation. Like, I remember, so my dad was speaking to someone who he shouldn't be speaking to, like he's not his friend or just a random person, and he probably did not know that I heard till today. And so I was supposed to be sleeping in the room, and he was in the dining. The room was very close to the dining, and he was saying that, "You see that my child," then mention my name, "Dad, he will spend his last kobo training me to school." As we were talking about that, I just remember that particular day, and I literally cried, telling myself that I would never let him down. Like, it was so much pressure on me, knowing that he gave me so much love that I didn't see him give, well, let me just say, my elder sister that much. So there was this part of me that, I need to impress him, show him that, your effort did not go in vain. Like, I see what you're doing. I went to a girls only secondary school. I went to a secondary school in another state, and he had different businesses. He had his job, but he would always come for visiting days, even though he wouldn't spend long, but he would show up. So I grew up trusting him to be my person. I grew up trusting him to know that he would show up. A lot of things that he taught us, like when we were kids, I remember my dad used to play this torchlight game with us when it's dark. So, or even if it's not dark, we put off the light so that it will be dark, and then he will flash light somewhere. We will now rush to go and touch it. Before we get there to touch it, he will switch it. It's one of my, he was such a good father. Like, he's still a good father, but those memories, in this case, my dad is not late, right? But it was until all those things that he did, I didn't understand it. It didn't shape me until I became an adult to know that what all those things he did really, really helped me. And then I understood that what he did not do for others really shaped them as well. So my relationship with him is quite different. My relationship with other person. At the same time, my relationship with my siblings is another thing entirely. So when in this particular incident that happened 2019, 2020, trusting another person over your children, trusting their words, choosing to believe them over, I couldn't get over it. In my own, I couldn't comprehend it. Like, wait, you should choose us. You should choose your children. You should choose your kids. No matter, that's what you should, and that's what I see mothers do. I didn't grow up with my mom. I didn't grow up with like that much mother. There were so many women in my journey, so I don't have one that I would say, oh, this is the person I'll model my life after as a woman. No, I didn't have that. He was the only person I need to show up, and of course, men are not always available in that capacity emotionally. The little he gave, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. He did all he could do, but then in that one, I just couldn't let go of the fact that you did not show up. You did not show up, and you choose to trust outsiders more than your kids. I mean, if it's my elder sister that is having this conversation, she will probably have a different thing to say. But I saw you, I know you have the capacity to be a great dad, to be a listening dad. But in this area, you chose not to because of obviously society, what people will say, all those things. And for me, I just couldn't let go. So my own dynamics of hurt is it's different from yours, but at the same time it's still hurt. It's still parental hurt. It's still like I in fact I did not talk to my dad for a long period of time. But whatever things I used to do for him in the past, I will tell you, like, at some point, like, I remember last year when I was, or 2 years ago, when I was going through a particular challenge here after relocation with my kids, I was contemplating whether to tell my dad or not. Like, it got that bad that normally when you are in a fix, when you're down, the first person you want to call is your parents. Like, I was asking myself, do I tell them or do I not tell them? I remember when I called COVID, I did not tell my parents. It was for my siblings he heard, and it was like, you shouldn't do that. Like, let your parents know. Like, I was like, oh. So when that now happened, I was like torn between, should I tell or not tell? Because I don't trust that he will show up for me, even though he's shown up, but I just couldn't get, and it was, and that's because as an adult, you need them more. As children, whatever thing they do to you, you remember, it's good, it shapes you as a person. But as an adult, there's a way you need your parents, kind of. You need them to show up, you need them to guide you. Like what you said, like, people will not take advantage of, people don't have taken advantage of you because you did not have the father figure. Exactly in the same way that people were trying to take advantage in this case, and we needed you to show up. And not showing up meant that these people will take advantage. And it was there because there are situations that you can help yourself in certain situations, and there are situations that you cannot help yourself. You need God to help you. You need your parents to show up for you. And, it's a way that somebody will speak up for you when you are not there. And it was really, really hurtful, right? So, I don't know. There are so many dimensions to it, right? But, and this is not to say that parents... this is not to say that there was not love in the middle of all this. And I think it's because you have a high degree of love for them that you are hurt.
The hurt is even deeper because of how much you love them. And I think that was the same also for my dad. I think even most of my hurt then, even now, then I don't have hurt towards him. There's no point. Then was also like how he treated my mom. And he didn't, it was when he was about to die. They brought him home briefly. And I think my mom called me and she asked me to do something, and I was grudging, like, oh, this woman is disturbing me, thinking that as usual my dad is around, there's nothing she can do. For the first time, my dad called me and sat me down and told me, don't you ever in your life disrespect your mother. And he told me that, left to me, you guys will never be where you are today. That woman is the reason why you have anything. That was the first time in my entire life that my dad called me and defended my mom. And then it took time for me becoming an adult to realize that, wow, this woman went through so much. So most of the things that she was acting out or trying so hard is because she was so consumed with, I don't want the world to laugh at me that I'm a single mother doing this, and look at my children.
And look at them.
Another hurt, before we go into talking about how we've been able to like overcome this hurt, one of the hurt is actually from my mom. You know, I mentioned that my mom was the first person, and then I'm like, it wasn't really a hurt, but it was a hurt. You know, it was just not having that kind of a friendship with my mom growing up, because she was very strict, and
Yeah.
rightfully so, because you know we grew up in the barracks. My mom's biggest fear was that we end up as barrack girls, you know, barrack children, and the repetition is not good. It's teenage pregnancy, it's being tout, it's getting married
addiction.
to drug addiction, getting married to soldiers, or getting pregnant for them and eventually having to get married to them. It's a lot of bad news. And my mom will always say, my children will never be like this. And then it was also a fear for her. I come to realize now that, you know, I shared a lot about my dad. I will share a lot about my dad in the next video. But it's also the fear of, everyone has already concluded on how we will all end up. And it is her desire and her prayer that we don't, we surprise all of them. You understand? So it was that thing of, you will not, you know, everybody has seen us as the least. You will not be the least. I will do, if it means me dying and giving you my life, I will make sure that you succeed. And so me, I had a tendency to be wayward as a young child. It showed in my, you know, I was the person that always like to question things. My sister is not like me. So I was always, one of the biggest hurt was I always felt like she treated my sister better than me. But it took me being an adult to realize that me and my sister had a very different personality. When my sister was young, she was the obedient child. I was not obedient. In short, I felt like because I was the middle child, I didn't have attention. You know, my brother was the last child. He was also the only boy. My sister was the first child, and she was the obedient child. I was the middle child and the strong-willed child.
And the curious child.
Yeah. And me and my mom our personality is the same. So we're always clashing. Always clashing. If you put water in my sister's mouth and go, you come back and meet it there. If you put it in my mouth, I'd have drank it and drank more. I'd have swallowed all of it. You understand that? So, you know, just not having that kind of friendship. It took a lot. I will talk about how we repaired our relationship, but yeah, I think that was like one of the hurts that I took in my heart. But again, with perspective, it's not really a hurt. No, it is a hurt, but it was a hurt with a good intention that ended up becoming a hurt.
Yeah. I think that's another one that one thing that's, you know, helped me, like kind of similar to what I'm about to say, is the fact that, you know, parents, like, they treated each child with one kind of expectation. It was easy for them to love or be there for the child that was easy for them to raise. Like the one that is obedient, the one that is soft, the one that knows book, the one that does not question or make people look at them like you're doing something wrong. It was easy for them to do that. And then the opposite, they were extremely harsh. And for me, I was a child. I was a good one. Interestingly, I was the good one. I was a good one in terms of, like, I know how to be very diplomatic. I remember there were so many cases that my daddy validated me, honestly. I remember there was one time where we were not, like, we're average, right? So we're supposed to, like, let go of this particular maid that we had. And I remember my dad, mom, my stepmom then, but I call her mom because at that time I didn't even know that was not my real mom. Anyways, so they wanted to lay off this maid and they called us that, okay, we want to lay off this person. What do you guys think? And one of my older cousin was living with us. They asked him first because he was the eldest. He said, let her go. I can't even remember what my sister said, whether to let him go or not. But I remember taking some time. I just paused and then I said, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I said, my dad did, and he made it like, He now asked, what did I say? I don't know. I said, on one hand, she makes us pick beans. And she something that she's supposed to do, she'll make us pick it and turn it into competition. First person to finish picking beans gets this. I'm never the first because I was very slow. So I didn't like that. Because of that, I didn't like her. And on the other hand, she used to take me out to buy me Ikonoguma. I didn't know that she used to go and see boyfriend. But she'll give me that Ikonoguma sweet. I will lick in the woman's shop. So I liked her. So I didn't know whether to forsake my Ikonoguma for just... So there was this conflict there. So I was thinking, and it was like, And said this program you, but I'm a mama sham sham. You can look at sham
In the
sham.
presence of the others.
It's in front of everybody. But me, I took it in. I'm like, oh,
You're a
that was my
smart
first.
child.
Yeah. So then, and I started to feel like everything that comes out of my mouth must
It's
be great.
wisdom.
So that was when my first validation. But because I was also very soft and very curious, I also saw the way it treats, like all those things impacted the other people. And then it was like the moment. So I had this fear that the moment I stopped being easy, the moment I drifted otherwise, I won't
You're
get all
going to-
this.
Yeah.
So I maintained, a part of me maintained that goodness. I mean, a part of me maintained that because I just wanted everything to be okay. So I didn't want any, because I saw some kind of backlash that they got. I don't have the energy to handle that. I don't have that. So me, my strength was not, I didn't have like physical strength. I'm not the kind of child, but I had so much mental strength, like logic. That's why schoolwork, and you won't see me reading, but schoolwork was never a problem. So because my grades was always there, and you know, if somebody is coming, like even with relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, I was always thinking too calculative about it. So it made it easy for me not to have certain bad behaviors. So it was easy. But then they always mixed up. So like seeing the dynamics in the household, like there's just so many which could cause sibling rivalry. But it's just that for me it was more of why is it so different? Why is it like this? Why is it so much of and I remember there was one time that my sister would get like she was just not good in academics. In fact, she was not good. Like there's no how you want to say it. So, in fact, that's enough to provoke somebody. But I mean, you know, you're raising the child, even though, like, that's something that most parents didn't have back then. If you're not good to raise, they just throw words, and that's something that, you know, they throw words. And sometimes, even for me, that I did right, there were some things that my dad said too that I remember that I worked towards. I remember, like, one particular time I did something, I said, so you're average. And I remember that, and I held on to it. It's not a hurt per se because there were so many good validation, but then that's just one.
Yes, yeah.
I remember, imagine one that a child that is constantly getting those words because I'm not easy to raise or because I'm not a good one. So that thing just really, and me, I'm the one, my nature is, I take on other people's burden. I don't, it's just always been there, looking at it back. It's just always been there. And so this particular time, my sister got bad grades and my dad was about to like flog her for it, thinking she's not trying her best. And I said, no, don't flog her. That next time she'll do better. If she doesn't do better, flog me instead. It's like, are you sure? I said yes, just because I was trying to avoid her getting that.
She didn't do better.
It's like the next time she did worse.
Oh God.
It was like and it's like, hey, you come here. He flogged me. And I remember my sister crying that, oh, she got me. And I remember saying to her, don't worry about it. Don't worry, I'm glad that you didn't get flogged. I remember all those childhood children like this. But for me, I remember that till date, I still have this sense of protection over my sister, which is not supposed to be. It's not my responsibility. It's not something that should be a part of me. But that was, so in a way, somebody might not acknowledge it and say it's something you should be, but it could have led to something else. The one that is now not easy, now hearing all those things, it has a way of affecting you, and you know, and then sometimes you they blame us for things that they do that we see them do.
Yes, now. That's the conversation for today.
In fact,
anyways, thank you guys for watching. We just need to round up this video now. In the next video, we'll be talking about how we were able to overcome some of, you don't want to miss that video. We recorded it already. That's what I'm telling you. So please watch that video. It's amazing. It's interesting. You learn so much from it. And especially if you're having any parental hurts, that video would be very, very helpful to you. So it's a good balance to all this one that they've done to us. Exactly. Like, it's a good balance. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until we meet again, we still remain your favorite host, Victoria and
Yemi.
See you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.